welcome back to the Reach In Talk Show with yours truly, the Dr. Nicole Lynette, where we talk all things life and wellness. I am so excited, y'all. We have special guests in the studio today. You know, this is Men's Matter Month. We know it as Celebration of Fathers, but we know our men matter. When we have healthy men, we have healthy families. When we have healthy families, we have a healthy society. We have a healthy society, we have a healthy world, right? So I don't know about y'all. Sometimes I've heard over the years, every time you hear about, oh, mama prayed for me, grandmama prayed for me, we usually hear about the women. But there are men who have invested in their children and they have prayed for their children as well. And sometimes I just think we don't give our men enough credit. So men matter, and that's what we're talking about this month. And I have someone in the studio today. I call him the men amongst men, and I've been knowing him all my life. And I want you all to welcome to the studio today none other than my father, Mr. Lloyd D. Stevens, Sr. All right. So, hey, Daddy.
Hello, daughter.
Why you looking over there? You ain't look at me.
I'm looking at the camera.
Yeah,
yes,
you're
sir.
talking to me.
Okay.
Oh, you done made it to the studio. You're making history.
All right.
So how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Feeling great? Okay, good. You're looking great. I knew you was coming with your swagger. I say,
I
oh,
don't know about that,
he's gonna come up in here because you always got your swagger, always looking good. That's where I get my fashion class from. I know. Yeah, I get it from you. So, as I was stating earlier, you know, there are so many narratives that's been shared all about mamas do this, grandmamas do that. But no, there's daddies that's been doing some things throughout the years and still, you know, probably not as many today, but there's still fathers doing stuff today. So I'm just glad to have you in the studio with me today. It's an honor. Yeah, you're like my Father's Day gift. Not just for me, but for all that get to view this interview. So tell our studio audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, you know, how many siblings you have, and I want to show enough about your high school, where you graduated from.
Yeah, I'm from Palestine, Texas. I went to school, elementary school at Green Bay School, then I went to A.M. Story High School, where I graduated in 1966.
Ooh. Okay.
And it's been some time back.
Yeah.
I long to be there. I miss being there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have a wife and 7 children, which I'm all proud of all of them. I love them all. Mm-hmm. I'm just glad to be here on the show today.
Okay. And just in case, you know, he didn't say it, I'm the eldest girl of the 7.
Yeah.
And so you went to Story High School. Okay, so did you do anything there? Or what was your favorite subject? What did you do?
Wow.
At school?
All my subjects were favored because I graduated.
Okay. So did you do any extracurricular activities?
Yeah, I
or
played
anything?
in the band and played a little basketball and things of that nature.
Okay.
So
So what instrument did you play in the band?
I played the baritone.
Oh, really? Okay. Now, the baritone sax or the
Baritone
horn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
In the
awesome.
brass section.
Okay. You know, your granddaughter played the same instrument.
Yes, she did.
Molly, yeah, she played the same instrument. She seemed to be doing a lot of things in your footsteps. Electrician.
That's good.
Okay. So then after school, so I know you were in the military.
For 3 years.
For 3 years, and that was the Army, right?
Right.
Okay. So were you an officer or anything?
Well, right to the rank of Spec 5.
Okay. Okay. And I'm just wondering, because I often tell the story about when we were little, and you want us to get out the bed, you used to come through, turn that light, and hit that wall, say, hit the floor. When we was younger, we used to jump up and hit the floor. But I remember, too, when we got older, we used to just roll over and hit the floor and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So we were kind of in the, I guess, our little boot camp when we was coming up. So did you participate in any wars?
I was in the Vietnam War.
Yeah, Vietnam War. So as you see, my dad's a veteran. He has a lot of history. And we're so excited. And not just that, he just celebrated 75 years. He just made 75 years old.
Thank you,
And he
Lord, for
looked
that.
good.
It's a blessing.
Yes, 75 years. And so now I want to ask a question. So between high school and the military, so you and mom been married like
53 years.
53 years. So how did y'all even meet? How did that come about? Tell your side of the story.
She used to live across the street from me. I lived with my grandmother. And so that's how we really got acquainted at first. And it's funny that they had a store down on the corner and a washateria was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was down there one day and she was walking from the washateria packing some clothes, and I said, well, hey baby, can I pack them clothes for you? And that's how it got started.
Okay, so she must have said yes.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Yes,
So you start packing her clothes, and okay.
yeah, we really got acquainted after that day.
Okay. So how long did it take y'all to get married? How long did y'all date?
Well, I went to the military while we was being acquainted, and I come back and we got more acquainted. And one day, I remember we went downtown to Gordon Jewelry store, and we just walking around talking, stuff like that. And we went in the jewelry store, and I asked her, about, did she like that ring? I never did ask her to marry me. We just went on from there, and that's how that turned out. And I went back to the military, and I went back overseas, and we corresponded and things of that nature. And I come back the next time, that's when we got married. And I left and went to Germany and things of that nature. And then after that tour, I come back, we got married, and I went back overseas. And at one time I had solicited her that she would come and join me over there, but somehow that fell through. And then it went on from that. After I got out in 1971.
Okay.
And so then we've been running ever since.
Okay. All right. So 1971. So y'all had at least 2 years. No,
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah.
I was thinking about me. 1 year with that kitties around the house.
Then Junior came along first, and then here you come. So.
Yes, the best thing that ever happened to y'all. I know. I know. Wow. I'm still stuck on you just asking, did she like the ring? Did you buy the ring right then? Or you bought it later?
Shortly thereafter.
Shortly thereafter. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's so romantic. Okay, so then y'all have us, and it was what, every year?
more or less.
Every year after that for what, 6 years? No, about 5 years.
Yeah, 'cause
5 years.
Had a set of twins in there, so.
Right, Regina and Reginald. So, okay, so how was that when she first told you she was pregnant? What was that feeling?
The first time?
Yes, the first time.
Yeah, that's the way life goes.
That's how you felt?
That's the way life goes.
Well, yeah, especially when you're married. Okay. Because just thinking about fathering, I remember Kentrell, when he first had his firstborn, well, when he found out he was having his firstborn, I never forget it. He just walked up to me. I was at my graduation when I was getting my master's. And he just fell his head into my chest. And I didn't know what was going on. And that's when I found out he was having a child. So, just thinking, I've heard different stories from different fathers saying how they felt when they first found out they were getting ready to be a father. So that's why I was asking that question. So, okay, so it's 7 of us. So,
Yes.
did you always want a large family? Was that something you really wanted,
I
or
really wasn't counting.
it
It happened.
happened? Okay, so you never said I wanted like 3 children, 2
No,
children.
not really.
Not really. Okay. Well, cool. Okay. So now there are things that you do. Okay. So I know, as I stated in my intro, when coming up, I tell people all the time, I I grew up in the church. I was born in the church because I was born on a Sunday at 10:31 a.m. just in time for 11 o'clock worship. That's what I always tell folks. And but I recall, you that orange Buick. I remember back in the day when we were in Third Ward, and all of us in that house, the girls. Oh, no, that was a 2-bedroom, huh? Over on Reeves
It's
in Third Ward.
always been a 3-bedroom.
It was a 3-bedroom, but with all of us in the room, and I remember that, and how we used to go to church, and you didn't just send us to church, but y'all took us to church, and how that was something I always admired because you were always in leadership in the church, and how y'all used to pray and all of that, and that just was remarkable to me. I've always watched that as a little girl, and how one of the things I valued, which is so that's why I say I know my other sisters, especially that middle one. We know her name, right? Always fighting for her position with you. But I remember being the only girl for a minute, and I remember how it on Saturday nights, every weekend, you would play music before we would go to church on Sunday mornings. Remember that?
Yeah, I still do.
And you still do? Well, I don't live there, so I don't know what you do.
Yeah, I play my music. You know that.
Yes, I know. My legacy of music come from you and Big Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your love for music and the word has always been an inspiration to me. There's a song that out of all the music you ever played, I forgot who sings this song, but Never Say No to Jesus. I think it's something mass choir, but I'm not even going to. Usually on the show, I find some reason to sing, right? But it says, "Never say no to Jesus, for your answer should always be yes." For when God gave, He gave His best, and that song, it's like I didn't understand why that song resonated with me all my life. To this day, I actually thought about doing a remix of that song. And so just that by itself, I mean, you played in the band. Have you always loved music? I mean, what is it about music for you?
I always loved music. When I was smaller, I come up with around music. My family sang, my daddy sang, my mother sang, my grandmother sang. So it's just a part of me.
I ain't know your daddy sang.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Oh, wow. Didn't know that part. Okay, well, I guess it's inevitable. You was going to do music. Yeah. Okay, and then I know what I love, too, because my dad, y'all don't know it, but my dad then had a few quartet groups. He's a quartet man. And I remember Quartet Central. Oh, man. I actually thought I was going to marry one of them guys, the ones that came to the church, that came from Dallas, who used to sing Walk Around Heaven. The younger groups.
Yeah, a lot of groups have come to the church.
Yeah. But over at Quartet Central, that was a place where I guess it's almost like a quartet exchange where all the quartets come.
Yeah. You got the True Level Hall and places like that. All those in Houston and around, and from close around, always came there. The True Level Hall and places like that.
So True Level Hall, that was the one
Ward.
off the freeway?
That's in Fifth Ward.
That was in Fifth Ward.
Yeah.
So which one was the one over there off of 610 and Cullen?
610 and Cullen.
It's a white, looked like it was a white building. That's all I remember.
Oh yeah, well I can't think of the name of it, but I know you're talking about it. It's right there off of Cullen, off of 610 there.
Mm-hmm.
They used to come over the second Sunday. Different groups would meet there. You had various places that various groups would go.
Mm-hmm.
That just happened to be on the second Sunday. Some would meet there, and another Sunday they would meet somewhere else. Things of that nature.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, I'm tempted. But what's one of your favorite songs?
Oh, I got so many of them.
We know, but think of one, the one that comes straight to your mind.
Oh, I'd have to.
Have to go through your list.
Had to go through. Let's go through my list here. I would just say, there's so many of them that we sung. It just Jesus Getting Us Ready, I guess, would be one that we sung with the way, not the way the church was singing, but you heard how the quartet style sang it. Mm-hmm. That was one that Reginald was really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
That led a lot of songs. There's so many. I have to say, all the gospel songs is my favorite, to tell you the truth.
Right. Special quartet style.
Yeah.
Because I know Lee Williams.
Yeah,
and
that's
the gospel QCs.
Highway QCs.
Highway QCs, excuse me.
Yeah.
I knew there was QCs. Yeah. And who was at the four?
Gospel 4.
The Gospel 4.
You got so many.
Yeah, those are some of the ones.
Supreme Angels and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And I know Lee Williams was a big one. I love this music too.
Yeah.
But I remember when it was so important to me to do the EP for you. Quartet's not really my style, but I know quartet is your style. And I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and do an EP for my daddy. Because, I like quartet music. I do. Quartet music has, what we call the soul of music, the soul of gospel in it. And I think sometimes we miss that. And a lot of times in today's...
They really tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a lot of times at night, when I could find myself wake up singing things all through the night, stuff like that. So it really been a part of me all my life.
Okay. I don't know, maybe one day when I get back to singing, maybe we can do a big concert and feature you on there singing a couple of songs. We'll have a concert featuring Lloyd Stevens Sr.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, you got other people in the family like Reginald and all of them. He's always been very partial to that, as well as some of the rest of them too. So it's possible that it could happen. So.
Well, I ain't talking about featuring them. I'm talking about featuring you.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
our lineage of singing comes from you. So featuring you, because we know that's a part of your passion. That's a part of your heart.
It is.
Yes, it is. So yeah, we here talking about honoring you. Ain't that right? Go ahead and give some claps for that. So then, now, in talking about singing, but praying, Daddy, we know you are a praying man.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I've never
in prayer.
Not known you to be a praying man. And so where's your passion for prayer come from?
Prayer is the key. Mm-hmm. Faith unlocks the door.
Mm-hmm.
Man should always pray and not faint.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, in knowing that, that's why, I say it again, when I hear people, I hear it so much, I'm so glad my grandma prayed for me. I'm so glad my mama prayed for me.
Good song.
That's good. But it's some daddies that's praying. So I tell people, look, our prayer lead has always been our dad. We know our mom prayed, but our dad was always our prayer lead. And I know everybody does not have that example, but I know I've spoken with some fathers who sometimes their children think they're not as close to God because they don't hear as much. But I hear them talking about their children, how they pray for their children. So, I just want to encourage people in society, don't be so quick to discount your father and think he's not praying for you, because he just may be praying for you and you're not aware of it. And then it might be good to go ask him, Daddy, do you pray for me? Don't just assume he doesn't pray for you. Ask him. That might be a great, segue, an opportunity to create a dialogue, you know. And you may be surprised that your dad may actually be praying for you and been praying for you for a long time. So, but then I want to talk to you too. Let's talk about some stuff. So there are some wisdom sayings that actually I'm writing a book about it. You didn't know it. Surprise, I'm letting you know. There are some wisdom sayings that you have stated as not necessarily when I was, some things when I was younger, but you used to say things like, dare to be different. And I always talk about that one because it stays with me. And daring to be different, because there's a quote that says, the embrace of a mother is important, but the affirmation of a father is magical. And that dare to be different, not that I've ever tried to be different, but it helped me embrace my difference. What was the motivation behind daring to be different? Why would you share that? Why would you say dare to be different? What does that mean?
Well, dare to be different means that you don't have to be in the same mode as someone else. Mm-hmm. That's something God puts in every individual, unique things that is only for that person. Mm-hmm. And only that person can do. And so therefore, it's nothing wrong with you being different from someone else if God has ordained it to be that way. Mm-hmm. So therefore, go ahead and do it. And because God, as I say, God's got your back. I put it like that. Right. So don't dare is something that you go against the ordinary things that other people do. So you dare to do it, and God will award you and will assist you in doing that. So don't ever be afraid to step out somewhere. Don't think you're going to be a failure or anything of that nature. Just dare. Go ahead and take the dare. And God will be with you.
So it's kind of like a step of faith.
Step out there, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it's funny because I remember one time we had an event and it tickled me because you got up and I shared about your words of wisdom about dare to be different. And I remember you said, yeah, but I ain't mean to be that different.
Now, you got to have some, you need to have some barriers and, structure. And my pet word is discipline. You have to have discipline about anything and everything.
Right.
A discipline about it. Although you dare to be different, there's some discipline that should be there.
So I need to amend this. Dare to be different with discipline.
Yes.
With discipline. I'm going to add that to my notes so we can hold on to that. So dare to be different with discipline, which makes sense. So then now we have another statement. Shoot for the stars, because even if you don't make it to the star, at least you'll land on the moon.
Good.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, that's good.
That's
you
good.
said that.
Yeah, that's right. Your aim is very important. If you aim low, you're going to achieve low things. But if you aim high, you're going to achieve high things. Even if you don't reach to the heights that you aim for, at least you can fall somewhere there under it. At least you won't be at the bottom.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's where it says aim high. Always shoot for the stars. If you don't reach that, you'll be in the galaxy anyway.
That is awesome. That is powerful. Woo! That is powerful. That is powerful. I'm going to go ahead and amend that in my book. I can get it that clear. Okay. So, and then this one I coined, you didn't exactly say it like this, but if move in silence, everybody talks about move in silence. That did not just start. My dad used to tell us all the time, he didn't use the word move in silence, but he said things like this. If you get a new house, don't tell nobody you getting a new house. Invite them over for dinner and give them your new address. Then he would say things like, if you get a new car, you don't tell them you getting a new car. When you're driving down the street, you see them, honk and wave. So things like that. So talk to us about the moving in silence. Why the move in silence?
Well, a lot of times if you tip your hand, people have a way, not intentionally, of trying to cut you off. So enjoy yourselves. And go on, if you're buying a new car, go by and offer them a ride or something of that nature.
Yeah, and you do this in real life. Because whenever y'all get a new car, we don't know about it until we see you in it. And when y'all doing things, we don't know until y'all let us see. So you know from experience, but it is good because the truth of the matter is when you're doing stuff, you're not doing it for other people anyway.
Right.
You're doing it for yourself. So I think that's just, valuable words to help people understand that. And then I think about even Bible scripture out the Bible say, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Right. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Not that you're calling people pigs, but, sometimes they trample on stuff that, sometimes people are competitive. So, so we just have to use wisdom when we move because not everybody see what you see anyway all the time. So those are like 3 wisdom sayings that's always been valuable to me. So we've talked a lot about your accomplishments, some inspirational moments, and a little bit about your history. But we're gonna proceed with talking about a little bit more about fathering and what you think about today's society. But we're gonna do that right after we return. So let's put this calls on pause.
You used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew.
If you looked at him, you couldn't tell. He has a heart of gold, loves so well, with vice grip hands and silver hair. He's got a grit that comes from way down deep, and if you make him mad, it's real mean. Yet somehow, some way, he turns the other cheek. He acts real strong, even though he's been through hell. But I've seen more of him than the story tells. He ain't afraid to break down and cry. He's the coolest man I've ever seen alive. Got to build tough hands, softest touch. He's there for you when life gets rough. Knowing him ain't so bad. P.S. I love you, Dad. If you talk to all his friends, you'd feel he's a man of his word, made of steel. He walks real tall against the wind. You can't knock him down, 'cause he get back up. He's the only man that you can trust. To earn that keep don't come real cheap. He's got 20 years for his community, and before the badge were the stripes he'd bleed. He ain't afraid to get down on his knees, fold his hands, get dirt on his jeans, send one up to the God above, pray for everyone he loves, knowing him ain't so bad. P.S. I love you, Dad. P.S. I love you, Dad. His old man was pretty much the same. If I were half of them, I wouldn't be ashamed.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it.
With built-up hands, softest touch, they're there for you truth, knowing them ain't so bad. Yeah, knowing them ain't so bad. P.S. I love you, Dad. P.S. I love you, Dad. If you looked at him, you couldn't tell he has a heart of gold, love so well.
I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life.
Welcome back to the Reach In Talk Show, where your host is yours truly, the Dr. Nicole Lynette, where we talk all things life and wellness. And today, wow, we're having a discussion with one of the most amazing men on the face of the earth, of course, none other than my father, Mr. Lloyd Stevens. So let's welcome you all back to the studio. So, Daddy, before we left, we were talking about a lot of your accomplishments and everything, and you know, the value you've brought to, I know, my life. But now I want you to share some of your wisdom. You've been here 75 years. You've been married 53 years. You have 7 children, a host of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And so just being a man, a father, a brother, and all of that, I wanted to ask you, what are some of your personal or family values, and how much do they play a role, or have they played a role in the aspirations in your life?
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, has to do with my training and my coming up. My grandmother and grandfather, my mother and all, they instilled some values in me. And growing up, and I grew up in the church. I was in the church. And I might have went away at one time, but I come back. But the values that come up in me has really kind of shaped my life, and I've been able to pass it on to my children, things of that nature. And my values are very important, and I'm very astute about doing things right, and try to do the right thing. I might have not always done the right thing, but I knew the right thing to do. And therefore, I was not influenced in the wrong direction. I was always influenced in the right direction, although I might not have followed it all the time verbatim. But I have a great sense of value. And I like to see things done right. I like to see people treated right. And I like to see people make the best out of their lives. And the best, and take advantage of the good things, and that they can prosper. And those values have been instilled in me, and I try to instill it in all those that I come in contact with, especially my children. And so that's been the drive that I have, is doing things right.
So in having those values, you know, you had those instilled in you. And just thinking from generation to generation, there seems to be a gap in I would say the positive influence of fathering in our society today. Where do you think the breakdown has come in? What is this gap?
Yeah, well, I really attribute to sometimes people have good intentions and have not been able to follow through. There are things they've been exposed to that they didn't really have someone to all the time have someone to guide them in the right direction. They have different struggles that have come up that some people just couldn't find a way to get around them. And they really didn't have the assistance that they need to help them to get over it. Sometimes people give up too soon, for one thing. And we have to have the tenacity to fight on until we succeed. And there's a lot of love that's lacking in our society, and a lot of things that people are trying to get over, but they not going in the wrong direction. And another thing, you don't have some people don't really have a church life like they should. God will help you. And the Bible says that we can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthens us. And some have not been, been in the church like I have. I haven't always been right, but we have in society today that it seems like the church is not as relevant in these days and times as it had always been. Right. We need to get back to God. I say that very, very strongly. We need to get back to God. And there have been too many things that have been presented to us that take our mind away from the things that we need to be concentrating on. The pleasures of life and things of that nature have kind of sidetracked a lot of people today. And regardless of what race you're in, you need to have God to survive. Right. And we need to realize that I haven't always done like I know I should do. And a lot of other people have not done the things that they know they should do. But therefore, we need to be able to emphasize how important it is for us to trust in God, not what I think or the way I want to go. That is not the way. And I'm very adamant about telling people about God and the things that He wants to do. The Bible does not lie, and the things that we are experiencing today is already been forestated that these things would happen, but also it tells us how to get around these things, avoid being involved in these things. It tells us how to get out of it, but we turn a deaf ear to it, and we see things right in our face and we ignore it, but we suffer the consequences because of it.
Right.
And so therefore, if we stop, they had a saying that when you go to cross a track, it says stop, look, and listen.
Yes.
That can all be attributed to our spiritual life. Stop, look, and listen. So in other words, if you got the Bible, it's there. Read it and follow it. Right. And a lot of things, woes that we have, we would not have if we would do those things. Right. And we need to one thing we need to, as far as our children is concerned in society, we need to teach them, regardless of what they hear today, we still need to tell them. So if you put it in them, then when they need it, they can use it. Right. It's like if you put money in the bank, then you can draw on it. But if you don't have no money in the bank, you can't get nothing out of there.
Right.
So it's very important to, regardless where a person wants to hear you or not, you still need to tell them.
Right.
And what they do with it is up to them.
Right. So, and even in sharing that, I think about mentors, models, proper models, because we talk about the church, but not all the time do people in the church provide the right modeling, and not that equates them with God, because God and people are two different entities there, but having the mentorship. Because I know I was sharing with someone earlier, there are now churches. I remember when we came up, there was always youth departments, there was always activities, but some churches now don't even have activities for young people. And that's a challenge for me, because right now the suicide rate for teens isn't at an astronomical high. But I'm like, well, how we're not providing, programs and services for youth? And then in legislation, they have an opportunity, well, it's already gone before the House, to, I think it's like $22 billion investment towards reformation programs for youth versus increasing juvenile facilities, and they chose the latter. So it just seems like society is not as tolerable or patient with young people as I remember, as I was growing up. Seemed like people had a little bit more patience with children and growing them and helping them mature into where they need to be. But today's society seems like it's just, I think we love more animals than we love children.
Well, it's funny that you just said that, but it's very important that we take stock in our children, our young people. It's very important, because they need to know. You need to teach them and influence them in a way that they will appreciate what you're teaching them.
Mm-hmm.
Children are very important, and they need to know that you feel that they're important.
Right.
And give them a reason to want to do the things that you feel are right. Listen to our children, first of all,
Yes.
because they have a mind that they can bring about things that we may not be familiar with at the time, but they're right. God can use them to help older people.
Right.
And then they're growing up. And there are things that when they're smaller that they're going to not be accustomed to, but God is going to use them as a generation to help that generation and the older generation.
Yes.
But we cannot ignore our children. We have to listen to them, because if they're telling you something, if you listen, you may not see it right then, but if you listen, then it'll be made clear to you.
Okay.
And we cannot disregard our children. We cannot do that.
Yes, absolutely not.
Cannot.
So, as just thinking back, what was that being a father? You have 6 children at the time, and then of course Jonathan came later. But what were some of your challenges as father, as you were maturing and developing into this father that you've become?
The greatest challenge I have as being a father is letting go.
Mm.
You know, we get attached to our children. We feel like we need to teach them a certain thing, but we have to be able to let them go and let them develop into what they God would want to be. That's my greatest challenge. As being a father is letting go.
Okay.
Because I want to watch over my babies or what's like that. But they're not babies anymore. They're growing up and becoming young men and young women. But the greatest challenge is being able to let go, because you always want to be there.
Yes.
So,
we know, Daddy. No, but we appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it,
love, yeah.
because you want the best, and that's that protection that fathers have. Fathers are to protect their children. So you have that, and we appreciate that. But even with that as being one of your greatest challenges, so what has been one of your greatest rewards as being a father?
Is seeing my children grow up to be what develop into what, not all the time what I think they should be or ought to be, but they're developing. Mm-hmm. That's my greatest, joy of seeing them grow up, and and basically they all seem to be healthy in things, and they're accomplishing things in life. They haven't always got to where they may get to, but they're progressing. That's very important. And I said to I want to see all my children to be successful. That's most important thing.
Okay. So, what, if you were to give a word of advice for fathers today, young fathers who may be struggling with taking on the responsibility of their children, what would that word of advice be? You can share that with our viewers.
The first thing would be to love them. That's the first and foremost, most important thing, is to love them, and do it in a way that they know that they're loved and cared for, and that they can talk to you about anything, and be there know that you're going to be there for them. And that's a very important thing. I have to repeat, love is the most important thing that you can give them. If they know that they're loved and that you care for them, that's going to go a long ways in developing them and helping them deal with life as it comes and goes.
So do that, because I talk with a lot of men. I teach, I'm dealing with 250 to 300 men a month. And it's amazing how some of the fathers think that love is, I pay for this, I pay for that. And my child ought to know I love them because I go to work for them. And, what does that love, some of that need to look like? Is it materialistic? What is the love?
Yeah, the first thing is, you say, well, I love you. To hear you say that means is a monumental. That to tell a person that you love them, showing and say buying you this and buying you that, That does, you know, it may say certain things, but to say that you love a person, really, it really means a lot. So to hear somebody say that they loved, it means a whole lot. And a lot of times you can show it in if you're buying them clothes and buying all they should know I love them because I do that. That doesn't mean that.
Right.
But if you said that, to hear you say that you love me, it really, it means a lot.
Yeah.
It does something to a person.
And then I think spending time with, I think they miss it, not just purchasing things, but children want time.
That's right.
Because when they know you take time, there's a story of this young boy. His dad worked a lot of times, work. And one day he asked his dad, how much does he get paid? And his dad was upset from him, like, why you want to know that? But he eventually told his son how much he gets paid an hour. And his dad told him he gets paid $100 an hour. Well, the little boy had been saving up money under his pillow, but he only got up to $50. So he asked his daddy, can he give him $50? And his dad got upset and sent him to his room. But then his dad took a moment to just pause and say, okay, well, he never asked me for anything. So he went to ask him, well, what did he need the $50 for? And he said, well, I've been saving $50 and I didn't have enough to buy at least 1 hour of your time. And so he just wanted to spend at least 1 hour of his father's time. And I think with our fathers these days, I think, some dads don't want to deal with child support and all of that. But even with that, spending time with your children matters.
That's right.
And setting the right example before your children matters. You may be doing things that you feel is okay, but ask yourself a question. Is that something that's going to be productive for my child? Because you have adult stuff, you have children stuff. But at the end of the day, I think spending time, yes, and telling, especially men, saying to their sons, especially, they might tell their daughters, but saying to their sons, I love you, so they can know it's okay to say it to their sons. Because a lot of times it's hard for men to say that.
And I must agree with you about spending time with your children is very important. They can feel that identity, that share with each other means a whole lot. The thing that you said about paying the $50 so I could buy an hour of your time, that's very astronomical. That just want to spend some time with the dad.
Yeah.
It's very important. Take time for your children. That means a lot. As well as tell them you love them, but still take time and show them that you love them.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you one more question because we're running out of time. But so, Daddy, you 75. You retired and you're doing some things, and right now I know you're doing things like for the church, the senior citizen home, and you just got honored on Sunday for your service in the body of Christ, which was amazing and well deserved, because you've been a soldier for a long time, not just in our natural physical world, but spiritually you've been a soldier in the church, and you've been a soldier in this family. You're the patriarch of the family. And so what's your next move? Because you're still here. What's your next move? What are you planning to do to expand beyond your borders, whether it be spiritually, health-wise, or just having fun? I don't know what else you want to do, because you've done a lot of travel.
I'm going to enjoy life. Whatever the Lord give me time to live, I'm going to try to enjoy life with my wife.
Okay.
My children.
Okay.
Do some things.
Okay.
Go some places.
Okay.
Basically enjoy life.
Yes. Well, you've put a lot, as you stated earlier, you've invested a lot into life. So you can make some withdrawals. You can make a lot of withdrawals. And I want you to know that as your eldest daughter, I love you. I appreciate you. I honor you. And not just happy Father's Day, but happy Father's Month. And we honor you all your life. And I appreciate all the things and the jewels and the wisdom and all of that you have imparted to my life, because most people say I look just like you. And I wanted to show your pictures today because tell people how you think you got some swagger there. You sure had some swagger back then, but that's all right. You don't need to know all of that. But I love you, Daddy, and I appreciate you coming on the show today. And I pray that you all, studio audience, have been able to actually gain some insight and some wisdom points to take with you, and some value been added to your life. And until next time, we'll see you soon, and reach in.